What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 5 of Money Moves. You are joining me here at Starbucks in Chickasha, Oklahoma. This was pretty much as good a place as any. I wasn't going to be in Oklahoma City today. I was actually just there yesterday, funnily enough. I was pretty busy yesterday, but yeah, this was close enough to the coffee. I didn't want it to get watered down for me to go find a spot somewhere else. There's probably some pretty good spots downtown here, but I thought this was as good a place as any. Hopefully it's not too loud. I have a busy street and the interstate right behind me, so hopefully it's not too busy and not too loud. But I know it's been about a week or two since I've put out episode 4. I hope y'all enjoyed it, by the way. I've been really busy. First of all, I had my wisdom teeth taken out, and then 3 days later I was at an event for my business, pitching sales. It was a lot. I was definitely busy, but it was a good time. You know, I found a way to have a good time and to enjoy it, and I'm just glad to have them out. I was in a lot of pain, if you remember what I was saying before. There's definitely a lot of things I have on my mind, some things I've been wanting to talk about, and I guess the main thing would be, and I'm going to give you a little bit of context first. So like I said, I was at an event last week for my business. We were there for 2 days. It was just like a little retail event. We popped up, we put up a booth, and we were doing sales directly to the customers, right? So it's a little different from what I usually do. What I usually do is B2B, B2B, which stands for business to business. So I'm usually talking to other business owners, and it's a lot more professional. It's a lot more number driven, right? It's a lot more like profit margins and this and this and this, right? When you're talking to, I guess, your average person, your normal people in society, it's a little different. And there's also something else. I do get people reaching out, asking for opportunities or asking how they can make money with me or whatever it is. And I do appreciate the initiative. But this has driven me to have a whole video about approach based off of what I did at the event with wholesale, right? And then with people reaching out. Most people don't understand the art of the approach. I didn't for the longest time. Maybe I still don't. But I'm definitely a lot closer than I used to be. It's something you have to learn. I think a lot of people never really learn it. If you are trying to network with somebody, or if you are trying to do business with somebody, if you're trying to get an opportunity or benefit off of somebody else in some way, if you want to be a part of what they have going on in some way, you have to know how to approach that. And of course, there's different ways you approach depending on if it's business to business, if it's business to consumer, whatever. It's kind of a different topic of discussion. We're mainly talking about the overall pitch of networking and connecting and working with other people and trying to benefit from an opportunity. So I'm going to use myself as an example because, like I said, people do reach out to me. They ask me, hey, do you need help with your business? What can I help you with? I want to be a part of it. I want to make money with you, right? Again, I appreciate the initiative, and I'm not criticizing you at all. I'm trying to educate you and give you advice. And even if you're not someone who's reached out, it's good to know this in general before you reach out to anyone, before you try to network or connect with anyone, right? Especially if you think they're doing better than you and you can benefit from knowing them or being around them. When it comes to the approach, it's not about what they can offer you. It might be that way in your mind, but coming from someone with a brand that has over 600 retailers, I built my business from the ground up from shaking hands and convincing people to buy my products, right? There's a way that you approach that, and it isn't to automatically off the bat ask what they can offer you, right? So if you're going to reach out to me and ask what you can do for me, you might think that sounds like you're offering to help me, but because I'm in business, I know that you're asking me for an opportunity. Now, you're not exactly asking for a handout, but you have to understand that when people are doing well, when they have a business, when they're successful, they already have a system in place, right? Their machine's already moving, it's already working. Now, of course, things can always innovate. You can always become more efficient. You can work faster. You can make more money. You can have higher profit margins. Yes, of course, businesses are always elevating. But unless they approach you, it isn't their job to convince themselves why they need your help. So when it comes to the approach, it comes down to knowing what you can offer that person before you ask what they can offer you. So again, myself as an example, and this goes for anyone. If you're going to reach out to anyone at all, but I'm just using myself as an example. Let's say you are in digital ads, you run ads on Facebook. You wouldn't ask me how you can help me, right? You wouldn't just say, hey, how can I help you? I do ads on Facebook, I want to make money, right? It would have to be the perfect place at the perfect time for me to be like, oh, I'm actually looking for that. The way that you do that is, hey man, I see you have an online business, you do retail online, and I run ads on Facebook. I've been doing it for 2 years, I have 8 clients. The typical return on ad spend is like 3 to 4.0. It's pretty good. I would love to run ads for your business, right? I think I can drive results for you. That would be attractive to me. It's like, oh, okay, he's already been doing it. He has clients, he has a good return on ad spend, right? And of course, that's a very basic example. But when it comes to approaching somebody, if you're trying to get an opportunity from somebody or benefit from somebody, you have to know to approach in such a way that you are translating what you can offer them before you ask something in return. Because if someone is doing well, they know what you're gonna get in return. They know that it's about money or it's about connections, and that's fine. We're all out here to make money or to make connections. So it's not shiesty to ask it that way. It's not weird to not ask for money right off the bat, because we all know that's what we're here to do, right? Hydrate myself. But you have to know how to translate what value you can provide before you ask for something from somebody else. And that's what it comes down to, right? It's not someone else's job to convince themselves that they need you. It's your job to convince them that they need you. And if you can understand that fundamentally, you're gonna see more success. It took me a long time to learn that. But like with me, I don't go into a smoke shop and say, hey, I wanna make money with you. What can I do for you to pay me? That would not get me very far. That's not how I got 600 retailers. We got 600 retailers by saying, hey brother, I see you're a smoke shop. We actually sell luxury smoking accessories, the best on the market, super high profit margins, super innovative, super unique. Nobody has this unless it's our brand, right? And your customers are gonna love it, and it's a great experience for everyone, and you get to make good money. What do you think, right? So you have to know what you can offer someone else before you ask for something in return. That was kind of the main lesson of the day. It's been kind of on my mind for a while. The next thing is, it's election season. I'm not gonna try to get super political. I'm not here to sway you, because that's just not what I'm here to do. It's just that there's a lot of information out there. And I thought that I would give my input on economic policy that a certain presidential candidate may have that you may be curious about, right? I think it's important to at least understand presidential candidate policy before you really call names, right? Because if you're a Trump supporter and you talk trash on Kamala but you don't know why, you're just a bot, right? And vice versa. You have to understand the policy and the implications of each individual candidate before you can really make a judgment. And if you don't understand that at least, then why are you here, right? So right now there's this huge discussion over Kamala Harris, what she's gonna do. She's talking about providing $3,600 tax credits to people with children per child, and that sounds great, you know? Also a $25,000 handout to people who wanna buy their first house, and that sounds great. And that's typical with Democrats. They usually, their policies sound really good on paper until it comes down to like, but how are you gonna do it, right? And then it really, your sentiment changes on it, because you might think, wow, I could use 25 grand for a house, right? The government's just gonna give me 25 grand to buy my first house. How amazing. You have to understand how that would affect the economy. Okay, let's say you have a house and you're selling it, and you know that everyone just got 25 grand for a house. What are you gonna do? You're immediately gonna raise the price of your house by at least 25 grand, by at least that much. I know I would, because I'm a capitalist, and that's just how it is. That's what everyone's gonna do. Right? Never mind the fact that that money has to come from somewhere, right? Whether that is higher income taxes, higher taxes, that like our government isn't just sitting on piles of money, right? They either take it from us in the form of taxes, or they print it, which devalues the currency greatly. That's what creates inflation, right? So either way, it hurts you for our government to just hand out free money. So in my mind, what would happen if everyone ended up getting this $25,000 is, one, the price of all real estate goes up by 25 grand at least, if not more, because 25 grand is enough for you to put a down payment on at least one house, if not two, if you're good with your money. And it's not about the huge amount of money, it's about having just enough to get into it when it comes to real estate, right? Because the bank will usually be okay with 5% down, 10% down plus closing costs. 25 grand is more than that for most people. So 25 grand is enough for you to at least get one house under your name. And real estate people know that. So that's why I say the price of a house will go up by at least 25 grand, if not more, because now you have just enough to get yourself in trouble, but they're gonna raise the prices. That way you're paying more money to them, which also makes the bank more money, right? Because of the interest rates. So it's a transfer of wealth, because now you're getting into real estate. You think you're getting a good deal because you get 25 grand from the government. Little did you know, they actually took it out of your pocket before they gave it to you, because you're paying it in taxes, and it devalues your currency. And the price of real estate goes up anyways, because capitalists are greedy. And here we are in the same position in 4 years. Real estate's way more expensive, right? Interest rates are where they are. The banks are taking all the money, and it's all going to the rich people anyway, guys, right? And you might be one of those people that are like, oh, tax the rich, right? Donald Trump wants to tax the rich, or he doesn't want to tax the rich. He wants to cut taxes for the rich. Kamala Harris wants to tax the rich. You just don't understand how that works, right? Poor people don't understand how taxes work. And the more money you make, the more you know about it. I'm sure I know nothing compared to people that are worth billions, you know? Like, I know just a little bit, right? When it comes to taxing the rich, I'm just gonna use Jeff Bezos for an example. I think he's what, the second richest person on the planet. He's worth however many hundreds of billions of dollars. He is the rich, right? He's one of the most wealthiest people on the planet. You would think people like him would be the target. And that's just not true, because people like Jeff Bezos got to where they are because they're good with money, right? If you don't know this, Jeff Bezos has an annual salary that his company pays him of, I think, $1.5 million a year, $1.7 million per year, which is good money, you know, but when you're worth a couple $100 billion, it's nothing, right? He's had this exact same salary since 1998, okay? He is literally worth hundreds of billions of dollars, and he pays himself $1.7 million. Let that sink in. That's a really small number comparatively. That's like 0.2% of his wealth that he gets paid out yearly. Yet he still has a multi-$100 million house because his company pays for it. His company that hasn't profited in a long time, because businesses don't want to profit. You want to profit on paper, and then you want to reinvest it before the end of the year because you're paying taxes, right? If you know anything about business, that's very simple. So Amazon, which is a company that doesn't even profit every year because they invest every single penny they make, which is very smart. They avoid taxes. They buy assets for him to borrow and use. He gets to use them, and he pays himself just enough every single year to not get audited. So when they say tax the rich, they're not going to be taxing the elites, guys. That's why they're not worried about it. These political candidates who are like, oh, tax the rich, they are the rich. But they're not worried about taxing themselves, are they? They're worried about people who are doing pretty good, but not the elites, right? They're talking about the people who own businesses, the employers, right? The entrepreneurs. They're not talking about politicians. They're not talking about mega corporation owners. They're not talking about them, guys. They're not talking about Elon Musk. They're not talking about Jeff Bezos. They're not talking about Mark Zuckerberg or even Donald Trump, right? They're talking about the guys that are in the top 10%. The guys who own your local mechanic shops. The guys who own the construction companies, right? Because they're cutting them out. Because those guys are the enemy. Those are the guys who made it out of the system just enough, but not so much that they can, you know, really benefit the politicians. And that's where they're going with it. So when it comes to Kamala Harris and the Democrats in general, just know that typically Democrats, when you're voting for them, you're voting for a larger government, more regulations, and higher taxes. And if that sounds attractive to you, perfect. I'm not here to sway you either way. I'm just educating you. That's typically how it goes. Typically Democrats are bigger government, higher taxes, more restrictions, more regulations, right? You are trading, you know, your freedom for security is what you're doing, for your safety, right? The whole thing with guns. They want to take your guns away in the name of safety. So they're taking away your freedom in the name of safety. That's what they like to do. Bigger government, more taxes, right? Donald Trump, on the other hand, Republicans in general, some Republicans, not all Republicans, most Republicans aren't good either. They want to deregulate the government. They want to make it smaller. They want to fire half of the IRS agents, right? They want to deregulate the government. That's how they can cut taxes. So when you hear about people like Donald Trump cutting taxes, they do so by making the government smaller, by making the annual expense of the government smaller. That's how they would afford to do that, right? And yes, Donald Trump did cut taxes for the rich, but that benefits everyone, because the rich are not Jeff Bezos. They are the elite. There's a difference. The rich are the people who own the company that you work for. And if they pay less in taxes, they pay you more, right? That takes less out of your pocket, because that's how businesses are. So it's not about, oh, he gave tax cuts to the rich. When he did that, it stimulated the economy. Jobs went way up. Exports went way up. Everything went up under that. And then they reversed it. Now here we are. Here's inflation. Here's the cost of real estate. Here's the cost of regular goods. Our exports are way down. Our imports are way up, because now we're more dependent on everyone else, because we are not dependent on ourselves anymore, right? As far as energy goes. And that's why we are where we are. So if you don't take anything out of what I just said, Democrats, bigger government, more taxes, more regulation, more overreach. Republicans are the opposite. Typically, not always, typically. And I just think it's important that people understand, you know, the economic implications, because everyone's like, oh, girl boss, you know, we're all like, Donald Trump's racist. He puts out mean tweets, right? That stuff doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care. I want to know how it's going to affect the economy. I want to know how it's going to affect your pockets, my pockets, right? People we know and love. Because that's what it comes down to. I could care less about their personality. I want to know everything about how they run things, right? About how people like Kamala Harris are paid $100,000 a year salary, but are somehow worth millions and millions and millions, or hundreds of millions of dollars. Those are the elites, guys. Those are the people that are talking about taxing the rich. They're not taxing themselves. And I think it's very fundamental to understand that. So I guess that was kind of my main point as far as the approach, knowing how to approach people, knowing how to talk to people, knowing how to seize opportunities. You have to know how to translate that right off the bat before you ask anyone to give you anything in return. It's a very simple thing, but you'd be surprised. Most people do not understand that. They just don't. I didn't for the longest time either, so I'm not judging at all. It takes a lot of time and experience and self-reflection to understand. And also, sometimes things aren't so great when it comes to what they're promising. They're promising tax credits, they're promising real estate stimulus checks. Know what you're voting for, guys. Know what's going on. It's important to understand the economy, implications, currencies, right? There's a lot going on in this world, and money is the biggest part of it. So it's very important to understand that, and if you follow the money, if you understand how money works, how it flows, where it goes, it becomes really easy to understand people's motivations and why things are the way they are. Understanding money is probably the most important thing you can do. And I know it's a materialistic thing, and it's just a piece of paper that is based off of our emotions. I get it, guys. All it is a resource. 1,000 years ago, it would have been firewood. It would have been gold. It would have been food, right? It's the same thing. It's access to resource. It's just a middleman now. But it's very powerful, and it really gives people a lot of motivations to do the things that they do. And it can really benefit you. I'm not saying to worship it, but it's good to understand it and know why people do what they do. And if you follow the money, it usually tells you why things are the way they are and why people have the motivations they do. So that probably about wraps it up, guys. I haven't even had a single sip of my coffee somehow. I don't know how that works. I need to drink my water first. You know how I am. I like to hydrate first. By the way, a couple of you came and met me at the Rock Island event. That was really cool. I told you guys I was going to be there on my Snapchat, and a few of you guys stopped by, shook my hand, we had a conversation. That was really cool. It's the first time I've met most of you in real life. I've bumped into one or two of you at Walmart here and there, or just wherever, right? I guess really only at Walmart now that I think of it. So it was kind of cool to meet y'all in real life. It was really cool. It's an honor that you guys take time out of your day to come listen to me, that you think that what I have to say is important enough or impactful enough to improve your life, or to give you a good opinion, or to educate you, whatever it is, wherever you listen to me. I'm glad you're here, and it's a good feeling. There's going to be more on the way. This is episode 5. I definitely appreciate you guys for being here, and I'll catch you in the next one.